Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Super excited to chat about the US market. What we will cover today, I want to talk to you about my journey into the US, and that's going to give you a good idea why I founded Tag Marketing. And then we'll talk about tag marketing a little bit and how my company is helping companies enter the US market. And then we'll jump right into US market deep dive. And at the end, I have a fun bonus offer for you. And lastly, I'd love to take any questions. So jumping into my journey, I think that the common thread in my journey to the US is really my passion and curiosity for the global world. I was born and raised in Israel, and then I had the opportunity to travel around the world, meet a lot of people, learn about cultures, and that got me really excited. In 2004, after I finished my military service, I decided to move from Israel to New York because it's something that I always wanted to do. With that, once I got here from far away, it seems like a great idea, but once I landed, I didn't know what I got myself into, and I wish I know today. I wish I knew then what I know today. And this is exactly how I felt when I got here. Very scary, very daunting. Once I got here, everything seemed super challenging, mainly because I just didn't know how to set up a doctor appointment, how to open a bank account, how to do my taxes. I didn't know how to find a job. I only when I moved here, I learned like how big Christmas is, because in Israel you mainly celebrate Hanukkah, and I didn't realize even that. I didn't know how to rent an apartment, and honestly, I just didn't know how to speak English. So taking all of that, it was a lot. And once I kind of grounded myself after a couple of months, just where I am in the world, I kind of shifted gears into starting my life in the US and working on my career, which I kind of want to walk you through today. My first job here was at a company called Sabon. It's an Israeli-based company. That had just entered the US market, and I was the number 3 employee here. And during my 5-year there as a head of the US headquarters, I really had the opportunity to learn how to open a business here, how to bridge the cultural gap, and how to enter the US. After a few years in the role, I decided that I want to do my MBA. I wanted to expand my education, and I wanted to further immerse myself in the culture by going to a local school and improve my English still. And after I finished my MBA, I really wanted to leverage this as a momentum to leap my career and go work in real US corporate companies, because I felt like there where I kind of truly can immerse myself in the culture and learn about the US workforce. So after I graduated, my first job was at Victoria's Secret Beauty. I was in inventory planning. I managed many categories at the beauty, like fragrance, body lotions. And if you think about it, when you need to manage inventory, that's where my first really understanding, continuing from Sabon, learning about the US consumer trends and forecast. And when you buy inventory worth of millions of dollars, if you make a mistake, that's not a good thing. So really where I kind of continue my learning about the US consumer and data analysis was a huge part of this role, something that will carry with me throughout my career. After 4 years at Victoria's Secrets, I moved into Gap, continuing with the inventory planning role. I managed the women's sweaters category, which was the biggest then at Gap. What I liked about Gap here is that if at Victoria's Secrets, I managed the categories domestically in the US, here I managed the category internationally and globally. So if before I needed to understand shopping trends and consumer behavior at the US, here you immediately need to learn about it at the global level to manage the right inventory in the right market. And after about 8 to 10 years in the US corporate world, I felt that I got what I wanted and I'm ready. And I wanted to take all this knowledge and actually shift into startups. So I joined Vroom. It was a startup in the auto space. It's a website that sells pre-owned cars online. I was number 23 employee, and I shifted here into marketing. So I was the second marketing hire. And here my US consumer knowledge and data analysis skills really came to help, where we dug into who is the audience, who is going to make the leap to buy a car online and not go to their dealership next door, and really how to drive growth for the company. So after a couple of years at Vroom, I joined Etsy. And if you're not familiar, Etsy is a marketplace for handmade good. And here you have the seller side and the buyer side. So it's yet another type of company that I didn't know before. It was super interesting. I joined on the merchandising and the marketing team, again, leveraging data to understand what type of trends and surface the best listings on the site. And then after Etsy, I joined Depop. If you're not familiar, Depop is a UK-based company. It's an app for Gen Z and millennials to buy and sell clothing. A few years back, they wanted to enter the US market, and I was hired as the head of marketing here in the US. We were 10 people here and 300 people at the Depop headquarters. Again, I felt like exactly what I felt like when I just moved to the US. It was the beginning, very challenging, very daunting. Where do we start? And slowly we entered the US. So just looking back kind of at my career, I really became an expert in the US consumer and in data analysis, two of the elements that really I'm carrying with me into my work today. So after about 15 years of experience, I was thinking, how can I take all this great experience and help other companies? And today, that's what led me to found Tag and focus on my family. Just because if I learned one thing from COVID is to make sure I have a healthy work-life balance, and I'd like to invest in the two important things. So today I live in New York with my husband and my 3 kids. And if you're just wondering what's behind me, those are indeed Christmas lights that I've learned are very beautiful. We're still very much celebrating Hanukkah, but enjoying the Christmas lights every year. And I'm very, very much focused on Tag today, where I really, really get to help businesses and companies and teams every single day. And I speak and appear just like here today and share the knowledge about the US, because I know there is a lot to learn and it's very, very daunting. So just to show off my data analysis skills, I prepared this very complicated formula just to show that the journey to found Tag was really, really clear for me. It's really combining my passion for the global world with my actual experience, personal experience, firsthand moving here to the US, with my professional experience being an expert in the US consumer and in data analysis. It was clear to me to found Tag. Pausing to take a sip. So now that you know about me and my journey, I wanted to share a little bit with you about tech marketing and what I do today and how I help companies. So at Tech Marketing, we're helping global retail marketplaces and tech companies enter and grow in the US market. What's the problem that I'm solving? At the bottom line, I'm saving you the headache of entering a new market. How do I do that? By expanding your business in the US and growing the revenue, by preventing founders and companies from making costly mistakes. And trust me, I see this every day. And by being your trusted liaison on the ground and have access to the best people once needed. A little bit about my services. So kind of stretching from strategy to post-entry. So at the strategy side, understanding your unique selling proposition, who is your audience, doing the research, who is the persona, who are your competitors, then to come up with a go-to-market strategy and develop tactics. And then once we have that, moving kind of to the execution level, as I mentioned before, local liaison, partnering you with local partners. You already know that I'm big on data and measurement, setting dashboards and measurement in place. So once you enter, you can actually measure and optimize. And then something I'm very big on, it's testing and optimizing, making sure you're not continuing with channels that don't work for you and actually finding white space opportunities to continue and grow. And then post-entry, if needed, working with you as a fractional marketing, extension of your team, fractional CMO, and then hopefully you're very successful and you want to open and hire a local team. I'm helping with hiring. I'm not in a recruiting agency, but by the time you get to that point, I know the ins and outs of the company and the role and what the type of people and knowledge you need, that I'm helping filtering candidates. So now that you know about me and about the company, let's jump to the market deep dive. We're going to chat about why should you enter the US market. I really wanted to bring some current market trends that I'm seeing in the market, and I'm actually curious if you're seeing the same one in your markets as well. And also I want to talk about some of the biggest challenges that I'm seeing, both from my work and from research that I've done, and I want to share with you today. I want to walk through a case study and show you an entry plan example. Ready? Cool. So why should you enter the US market? First and foremost, total addressable market. It's no secret the US market is very big, 330 million people. Not only that, but very diverse population. That means that there is room for everyone and everything, at least to test. Because of number one, the potential for the high revenue is very, very big. It's a large market and the sky is the limit. And number three is endless opportunities. That's actually something that you can't predict, you can't plan, you can't forecast, but I see this every day. Entering the US market can really open doors for you that you could not have imagined being open. So just something to think about. So while there is a lot of great reasons why to enter the US market, and it does present massive opportunity, however, I do acknowledge that it can be very daunting and very challenging to enter the right way. And this is why I'm here to help. So as I mentioned, I really like to be on top of current macro trends. So I wanted to bring you and chat with you today on trends in the tech and the retail space. So the first one I'm seeing is financial instability. At the individual level, it's not a secret that the big companies like Meta, Google, Amazon had major layoffs all the way through startups. At the company's level, the impact of bank failure like SVB really impacted small businesses that were dependent on banks like that to operate in the US. As a result, I'm also seeing and hearing lack of trust of employees in their company, which derives from, the uncertainty of layoffs, and hearing from my clients and what I'm seeing with the work I'm doing, trust of customers in their favorite brands. So just something to think about when you think about entering the market. How can you weave it into your user journey and build that trust to gain loyal customer base? And then the third one is the rise of AI. I see it all over my LinkedIn feed. I see it all over my news feed. I get tons of newsletters about AI, webinars, seminars, really how it impacts the future job market, and how it impacts the ever-changing technology, all for the good and for the bad. So these are kind of the trends that I'm seeing. So kind of my 2 cents on that would be really to shift thinking from targeting employees, clients, customer, and really start seeing them as people, because it's all the same people, and thinking about like their feelings and how do they feel and how that connects to the user journey and them being part of your brand. So just when you're thinking of entering, just think about them as people. With that in mind, talking about trends, I want to shift into the challenges. So I work every day with companies and founders, and also as it's my personal passion, I've done a deep dive research and work and talk to founders from around the globe, from South America to the US, Europe, the Middle East. And one thing I want to totally tell you and reassure you that you're not alone. Everyone has biggest challenges, and it comes down to the one that I present today. About 50% is a collection of very, very, very small kind of issues. And then 25% of the challenges that I'm hearing and I'm seeing when I'm analyzing the data is company and ops related. When should we open an office in the US? How do I hire? Legality, taxes, all those things falls into that bucket of company and ops. And then 60% of the challenges that I'm hearing, seeing, and analyzing here are marketing related. And since it's a big, big chunk of the challenges, I wanted to kind of deep dives and look under the hood and share with you what are those under those 60% marketing related challenges. So I want to focus, again, the other 50% are kind of collection of smaller ones, but I want to focus on the big chunk that sums up to 50%. 10% relates to brand trust, which we talked about earlier in the trends. 20% relates to brand awareness, and equally 20% relate to audience. So 50% of all the marketing challenges are really related to the people, to the audience, to raise awareness. So because those are really, really important, I wanted to kind of focus and give you kind of pointers on each and one of them just to take with you. First and foremost, brand awareness. There's no easy way to say it, and you may not like it, but if I think about it as effort versus impact, it's a very high effort. Brand awareness take time, it's slow growth, and you have to be patient. And not only that, it's a constant element of the marketing that you're going to have to invest because it's not going away, and you're going to have to work on it. The US audience part, actually, it can have high impact, and I really encourage you to invest the time in research your audience, get the data, validate your hypothesis, who your audience is before you enter the US market. That's something that you can actually do. It does take time, but it pays off. And it's really fundamental for your go-to-market strategy. And lastly, the brand trust is the part that I like, because whenever you're looking for quick wins with high impacts, brand trust is actually the place that you can do it. There are many ways and variety of tactics available out there, and I'll show you later in the case study. It's worth investing in those resources because of the quick wins and the short terms. So keeping that in mind, I want to walk you through a case study of a EU company, D2C company in the fashion space. So we conducted audience research and created a go-to-market strategy. And then we entered the US market, and we kind of had the same feeling that I had when I moved to the US. We didn't see positive results in the first 3 months, meaning the ROI, the return on investments, was not positive. So we took that as a learning and said, okay, we're seeing the results. What else can we do now that we have some data, then some actual data? Going back to the elements I talked before, the first thing we did is think about what are the really quick wins that we can do to gain brand trust. So we embedded global reviews on the site. We showed the entire site in local currency, in USD. We adjusted the FAQs to global questions. We used and made sure we used US English across the site. And we were very transparent about shipping, duties, and taxes up front, and not only when they get to checkout at the last stage. That's one part. The second part we did is we said, okay, how can we look at the data? We have data now, let's look at it. What we did is actually shifted our measuring from looking into only in-platform sales to non-attributed sales, meaning at Shopify, we looked at the total sales. And then what we found out actually is that overall sales from the US were actually going upwards. So in retrospect, it made sense with tracking paid media. It's not easy, but then we're seeing actually the steps we're taking and the impact we're making actually made sales from the US grow. And when we looked at the blended ROAS, the return on investments, then the blended ROAS was positive. So as next steps now, we're looking at, for example, at geo, we're deep diving to see maybe there are areas that are more likely with more shoppers, and we're constantly monitoring our channels. So I thought it was a good example just to show you the brand elements. There are many other elements here working on brand awareness, but I thought it was a great case study to share with you today. So as we at the end of the presentation, I wanted to share with you some insider tips for success to take with you when you're thinking about entering the US market. First one, it's a marathon. It's not a race and it's not a sprint. Be patient. It's just not going to happen in one day, the big success. It's not going to happen in one day, not in 2 days, and probably not in a week. It will take time, and I encourage you to be patient. It does take a village to enter and market, especially big like the US. And it's require full collaboration with founders, with the company. So even when you hire experts, local experts, don't expect to just enter and grow. It takes really collaboration with local experts and the company together to build a plan. Number 3 is don't underestimate the resources for execution, especially around team and budget. And especially when it comes to more the junior and the mid-level where you have a strategy now, but now you need to execute it. Bake that budget, bake that team into your budget. It's going to prevent surprises and mistakes for later on. You already know what I feel about data, so I encourage you to test, learn, optimize, constantly understand where your business is, read your numbers, understand what your white space opportunities, what's working, what's not working, and use the data to make decisions. And lastly, hire local experts who understand your market and your needs. When planning to enter a market from far away, it can seem way more challenging than connecting with someone local that understands the nuances, understand your needs, and really can help you enter the market in the right way. And just want to share a typical project with Tag or how you would enter the market. First would be onboarding, discovery calls, data deep dive to understand where you are and where you want to go. Then we can understand and align on your needs, and then do some strategy session and talk about what's the go-to-market framework that we want to work on. We're going to move into deep dive, either it's audience, unique selling proposition, competition, and all the elements in the strategy to come up with a strategy, and then eventually moving to the execution phase. So that's kind of what I have to share about the US, and I really want to thank you. And as a thank you for coming here today, I have a fun bonus offer for you. I'd love to work with you on a complimentary marketing audit, see where you are today, which is a 45-minute call with me. For the first 15 attendees reaching out, just mention the conference today, and we'll set you up with a meeting, and we'll discuss your marketing audit. This is how you can reach out to me, either email me, connect me, hit me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, where I share tips about US entry and visit my site. I'm really, really looking forward to hear from you about your thoughts entering the market.